Hi everyone, it's Rhoda at Peace Be Still. I did not realize how many people out there had a channel called Peace Be Still. I don't know what I was thinking. I know the Lord placed it on my heart to call my channel that, but sometimes I'm like, But anyway, I'm making Salisbury steak tonight. I've got other things I have to get done today, so I figured I better start this early, get it going. I've lost my original recipe that I had for this, and I've looked through, I have 50 cookbooks, and I have looked through every single cookbook, and I could not find a Salisbury steak recipe. Could not find it. And I looked online, and a lot of the ingredients, I'm like, that's not what I used. I know that I didn't use that, but I'm going to wing it. This time I'm going to film it, and then when I got my recipe box here, I'll write it down and put it in my recipe box this time. That I'll know what I did because I recorded it. But I'm going to start out with 6 slices of bread. I need some breadcrumbs for this recipe, so I'm going to do that. And I don't know if I said this already, but I used onion or Lipton soup mix, onion soup mix. It's one of the things I can wing it, get by without my husband like tasting all that harsh onion flavor. But I don't use a lot of it. I don't know if I'll use the whole pack, but I definitely use some of it in my mixture. And I know I used mushrooms and beef broth. And I don't use ground round or ground sirloin. I use ground chuck for the Salisbury steaks. And I made my own gravy too. But you can do all this really simple. You can use breadcrumbs, a pack of this, a jar of mushroom gravy or beef gravy. Some onions and some mushrooms. If you don't want mushrooms, leave it out. You don't have to have mushrooms in it. There's a lot of people out there that just don't want fungus in their food. Or fungi. I don't know. I like a fungi. I'm joking. I only like my husband. I'm starting out with this. I'm going to get it toasted up so I can crumble it into breadcrumbs and see how this goes. I'm going to put everything together. I'm going to sear and brown up my burger really good so I can put it in a crock pot, because I have stuff I've got to get done today, and I want it to just marry together really good. And I'm going to stick it in a crock pot and pray that it turns out good. Come on, let's get this started. I took that bread out of the oven, and you can hear how crispy it is. I decided to put it in my Ninja smoothie maker. I don't know what it's called. Bullet. It ground up really easy. I kept pulsating it until it was to the consistency that I wanted. Look at that. Doesn't that look good? I don't know how much was in there. Maybe a cup and a half, something like that. I didn't measure it. But to my crumbs, I added 3 teaspoons of the Lipton soup mix, the onion soup mix. Then I put in almost a teaspoon of garlic powder. Garlic powder. And I got that all stirred in really well together. And I set it aside. Then I have the ground chuck here. It was almost 2 pounds, and I got a really good deal for it. So I'm going to use that. I always buy ground chuck. It's just easier. Look at that beautiful egg. Look how clear that is. Isn't that beautiful? Put that in here. And use my hand. It's still a little bit frozen. Got a little bit of beef broth here. About a half a cup. Put that in here. Ooh, it's cold. How red my hands are. It's cold. I added about a tablespoon or so of avocado oil, maybe a couple tablespoons. And then I just coated my pan good. Then I started my patties. And I just grabbed like a little ball of it, flatten it out, and set it in the pan. And this is what I do with all of them. I make sure the patty has a good, brown sear on the bottom of them. Flip them. I don't want to cook them all the way through. That amount of ground chuck made 7 patties. Of course, some of them were pretty large patties. But I do this until I get them all browned. I've got some freeze-dried mushrooms that Nessa gave me from Nessa's Nook. And I'm going to use these in this dish with my gravy. But look at those. But I'm just going to pour it in my broth that I have here. I have some broth here. And I'm going to put these mushrooms in that broth. I had 4 cups of broth. I used half a cup in my mixture. Take out my pack. Stir that in. I'm taking my burgers, I'm browning them up, not burning them, just browning them up, and then I'm putting them in my crock pot. I'll show you what it looks like. See, they're in my crock pot. I just got them layered in there. And I'm going to take this grease that we have here, or oil and grease, whatever, and put a little bit of flour in here. About a 1/4 cup of flour. Get that cooked. We're making a gravy. Just a little bit more. I'll go by the way it looks. And then this broth I made, I put the dehydrated or the freeze-dried mushrooms in it. And I'm going to put a little bit of that in here. Stir it up. A little bit more in there. Rest of it in there. We like the gravy on this stuff. It's just so good. Like I said, if you don't like mushrooms, leave it out. But I've got a little bit of that broth left, that onion soup mix left over. I'm going to put that in there. Stir that in. I'm not going to thicken this up all the way because I wanted to thicken in my crock pot. So I'm going to stop right there. Turn it off. I'm going to pour this on my Salisbury steak. And that will thicken up while I'm doing my stuff today. Woo. Don't do what I did. So, I've got my pan cleaned up and in the oven drying. That's what I do. My cast iron, I want to make sure I don't make it rust, you know. But I got everything stuck in my crock pot. I put it on low and I left the gravy, you know, a little bit runny because I don't want it to like thicken up like a rock inside my crock pot. And again, thank you, Chris, for sending me this. I have used it so many times since you gifted this to me. I really, really appreciate it. And I'm gonna go do my errands. I've got this on low, so it'll be nice and warm when I get back. And I didn't cook the burgers all the way through. I just, you know, charred it a little bit on each side. Not burned, but you know what I mean. I don't know the correct term for it. Maybe you do. So, when my boys get home, I'll have supper ready for them. I'm going to have mashed potatoes with this, and also I'm going to make my 30-minute yeast rolls. I think they'll love that a lot, having the rolls with this. Because they do like those rolls. I have to admit I do too. Even though my waistline doesn't want it. My belly does. So I'll see you when they eat it. And that way we'll know how this recipe goes. If it was the right one, I think I did everything the way that I did it last time. I'm praying I did. It smells so good. It seems like it has some good flavor to it. Because, you know, you got to taste as you go. You don't want something at the table and it's so salty, you're like, oh, or you miss something. So make sure you test it before you serve it. I brought Mama and Daddy some meals. I hope they like it. Look at this. Doesn't that look good? I fried up some mixed vegetables. I made some of my 30-minute rolls, mashed potatoes, and that Salisbury steak. Oh my goodness, people. Look at that. That turned out beautiful. Beautiful. I'm really happy with this. I took Mom and Daddy over a plate each. Of course, they were napping. They're always napping. So I stuck it in the oven for them. That'll be a surprise. Left them each a note. Because sometimes Daddy won't tell Mama that's something there. Next thing I know, he ate both of them, and Mama didn't even get any of it. He's a stinker. What can you say? But try this out. It's good. I'm going to take me a little bite of it. And let me see. Of the meat. Other stuff, you pretty much know what it is. Oh my goodness. That is good. My boys are going to love this. It tastes like the last time I made it. So, good job, Granny. This time, I have it recorded and written down. So if you try this, I think you'll love it. And don't forget, my 30-minute rolls too. They're really good with this. Till next time, God bless you all. I'll see you again. I promise. I'll see you again.